Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land. That all changes starting right here and right now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
No matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Exactly right. Mike Johnson and what he believes is one of the greatest threats we have today to the United States. I promise you, I know these people.
Well, you're talking about Christian nationalism.
Absolutely.
Talking about this
is a bigger threat than Al-Qaeda to this country. And let me tell you something. They're Speaker of the House. They got probably at least 2 Supreme Court justices, maybe more. Right? Don't kid yourself. And people in the press have no idea who this guy is, how he was formed, what the threat is, and this is a fundamental threat to the United States. It is a fundamental. They don't believe in the Constitution. They'll tell you that. Mike Johnson himself says, "What is democracy but 2 wolves and a lamb having lunch?" That's what they really, really, really believe. And to say, "Oh, come on, man, that's just some crazy shit." No, they believe that, and they're coming, and they've been doing it forever. They're funded. They're relentless. And, you know, they probably won't win for a while, but they might.
No,
and
you
if
just
they
said-
do, the whole country blows a
You
gasket.
just
Boy, what a difference in speeches, huh? Between Trump's inauguration speech and Biden's Moloch speech where he defiled Independence Hall. Trump, when he came down the escalators, and the Democrats, the donors, they loved Trump. But apparently they knew Trump better than we did, and they knew that he was going to be a fighter for the American people and the Republican and the enemy of the deep state and the establishment. Because the minute he come down the escalators and announced that he was winning, I mean, they come after him with both barrels, right? They spied on him. They listened to his campaign. They spied on him when he was president in the Oval Office. I mean, I always think about Nixon because I was alive young during Watergate. And, it was a terrible thing. But it's a non-event compared to what they've did to Trump. We're going to talk more about it. But first, I want to talk about what the radical Democrats are up to. The radical Democrats have launched their opening salvo, a vicious two-front assault on Donald Trump and America First patriots. The criminal regime will do anything, no matter the cost, to hold on to power. They have everything to lose, folks, if they don't win. They are petrified, and I mean petrified, that Donald Trump is going to win, and and that they will be held accountable for their crimes against this nation and the American people they have wrongfully prosecuted. However, should the authoritarians win, they will finish destroying our constitutional republic. The stakes couldn't be any higher. Every week from now to Election Day is going to get more heated, more ugly. It's going to get exponentially worse, and we're going to talk about it. But first, welcome back, Patriots. Welcome back to Sons of Liberty 1773. This is indeed where men and women from around the world gather in defense of liberty. I am your host, Bill Bailey, who will be channeling the patriotism of America's founding fathers. Today is December 6th, 2023, year of our Lord. Thomas Jefferson said, experience has shown that even under the best forms of government, those entrusted with power have in time and by slow operations perverted it into tyranny. Indeed, our government has turned wicked. It is in many ways more despotic than the tyrannical British Empire that colonial America won her freedom from. So, James Carville, I am going to play that clip from now to Election Day, where they've decided, seems like a pretty stupid political move, because Christians don't commit. I mean, when you look at crimes committed by Christians, that demographic, they're like the bottom of the bottom. They are the most giving people. They built this nation. I mean, newsflash, the founding fathers were Christian nationalists. But what Biden was saying in his Moloch speech is not that we're the greatest threat to democracy, and we are a constitutional republic, but you'll never hear him say that. We are a form of a democracy. We are a representative republic. That is the correct term. Remember Ben Franklin, a republic if you can keep it. But what they're really saying, if they're being truthful, Donald Trump and these mega Republicans, these America First people that love God and country, are the biggest threat to our wicked regime, to the fascists, to the communists, and to the Marxists that are implanted in Biden's administration. We are their biggest threat. That would be true. But we're the ones that want to restore. We want our government to follow the Constitution, to get out of our lives, for them to be reminded that we run the government. Like Trump said, I'm giving the power back to you. The government doesn't run us. And we are a threat to the totalitarians. And I'll tell you, folks, they are on, the Biden regime is on life support. When you look at what Trump did in 4 years to this country, the trade deals he did, how we lowered energy. I mean, we were paying like $1 something a gallon for gas. No new wars. Lowered our taxes. Closed the southern border. I mean, the American dream was thriving under Trump. And it was going to be the end of the administrative state on his second term. And, you know, when they couldn't spy on his campaign, I mean, they literally invented, manufactured evidence and then tried to impeach him twice with criminal evidence. I mean, the whole thing was a crime scene by the left. The DOJ was in on it, the FBI. They couldn't impeach him. It didn't work. So then what? They rigged the election. They used COVID was like a, you know, blessing for the left. I mean, they used it to their advantage. We lost chain of custody. You know, mail-in ballots were going out by the bazillions. The Zucker stuffer boxes were everywhere, and they rigged the election, and everybody knew it. We knew what was going on. I mean, when it was election night and Trump was winning, and then we've got to shut down the counting, you know, I think everybody's hair went up on the back of their head. What's this all about? And then, you know, the white vans are pulling into the TCF center in the wee hours of the morning. But we've found out so much since November 3rd, 2020. And people that were on the fence said, no, you guys are just sore losers. Now all of a sudden they're saying, wow, you know, it looks like you guys were right. It was a rigged election. And millions of Americans showed up on January 6th to peacefully protest the election that they didn't think was fair. And they want to criminalize that now. You know, they want to put people in prison that questioned the election. They're going after all the attorneys that represented people like me. They're trying to disbar and put Matt DePerno in prison. It's, you know, this Project 65, radical leftists, well-funded, tens of millions of dollars to make sure that no one else, if anybody questions the election in the future, that there won't be any attorneys that will represent them. You know, I believe November 3rd, 2020 was a communist coup. That might be extreme, but to me it looks like the Bolshevik Revolution 2.0 in America. But the left, right? So they couldn't impeach him. They couldn't spy on his campaign, find any dirt to derail his campaign. The impeachments didn't work. And so then they rigged an election. That was how they stopped him. And January 6th now, we're learning the whole thing was a setup. We're seeing the videotape now where they were shooting rubber bullets. Crowd was peaceful, right? Patriotic Americans there, waving their flags and exercising their First Amendment rights. And then they started firing rubber bullets into the crowd, flashbangs, and tear gas canisters. At the same time as the feds that were implanted and BLM and Antifa started breaking into the place and baiting everybody in. Had that not happened, I think we would have adjudicated this election, that possibly Pence would have voted the right way. But now I think he was in on the shenanigans. So the left stole the election. But Trump and MAGA didn't go away. We've got more powerful, okay? And I'm going to share a clip, guys, from Rush Limbaugh. It's one of his last broadcasts, talking about what they were going to do to Trump. You got to stick around and listen to it. And I got one of his most recent campaign ads that is just killer. But so now they're using lawfare, right? Mar-a-Lago. This right here, I think I have a picture of it. They show up at Mar-a-Lago. President Trump, all presidents have the right to take any documents they want from their administration, and they're declassified. They have presidential rights to declassify any documents they take. Trump did nothing wrong. And remember, they knew Trump was gone. They showed up and raided Mar-a-Lago. And I'm going to tell you, this is banana republic bullshit, okay? They went in there, they staged photos. Remember, they had the documents laying out classified and click like I'd fanned out a deck of cards. Got in Melania's clothes, probably in her underwear drawer. Sick people. Tried to take the surveillance tapes, although I heard Trump has copies of them, and I'm hoping some of that stuff they share someday, because I want to see how creepy these people are. But Joe Biden, as vice president, as Senator Biden, took thousands of classified documents that weren't in a secure location. He had them at Penn Center. He had them in Chinatown. He had them, the cardboard boxes behind the fiberglass door that I could walk through, in the cardboard boxes behind the Corvette. He committed a crime. Crime and crime a time. For every document he had was a crime. He's not guilty. No, it's Trump. And then Fani Willis, we're learning, is in cahoots with the January 6th board, trying to get Trump. And we're learning the Clown Circus January 6th committee, which was really a Russian show trial, right? They've deleted now, when they shut the panel down so no one could see what they did, they deleted videotape depositions. They deleted documents so it's gone because they're trying to protect themselves. The left knows the administrative. Look what the FBI did, burying the Hunter laptop story, right? And then this 14th Amendment bullshit, trying to take Trump off the ballot. They're trying to put him in prison for 700 years. And while they're trying to do that, they're trying to take him off the ballot. So, somehow thinking, well, Trump must have been alive during the Civil War, and he was in the Confederacy, and now he's running for president. And we can't allow that under the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. That's what they're saying. That's the stretch they're trying to make. Ain't going to happen. Now, the court in Colorado or the Supreme Court in Colorado is now going to hear it. A bunch of lefty loons. We'll see what they do. If they're smart, they will rule in Trump's favor because the Constitution is on his side. If they don't, however, Trump will have to appeal to the federal Supreme Court, where he will get a victory. I'm a positive of that. And then you got the clown in New York, which is truly a criminal judge, saying that Trump overvalued his properties. He didn't. The banks have come forward and said, no, he didn't. Matter of fact, we considered him a big catch. We made hundreds of millions of dollars from him. We'd like to do more business with him. He did nothing wrong. Folks, I'm a real estate broker, okay? And I can tell you right now, if you're going to list your house, I don't care what part of the country you're in, call 4 different real estate firms and tell them to get an agent and tell them to come over and do a market analysis on your house. You're going to end up with 4 different numbers. Call 3 appraisers and pay for an appraisal to each one of them. Pay them to do a legitimate appraisal. You're going to come up with 3 different numbers because they use different comps. They've got a different idea of values. It's subjective, folks. There'll be a high and a low, and in the middle, they'll be different. They'll all be kind of in the window. And that's where Trump is. I believe Trump made his figures low, but this judge is saying, I don't give a shit. I hate you. My wife hates you. You're destroying what our communist takeover of this country, being a little facetious. And I think you committed a crime. Matter of fact, I'm going to find you guilty of the crime that I convict you, that I think you're guilty of. And then I'm going to take everything you own. That's what he's doing. That judge needs to be removed from the bench, impeached, however they get rid of their judges in New York. And Trump should be able to sue him. That guy should be in prison. He should be disbarred. It's a mockery of the justice system. So all this stuff by the left is not working. And not only that, Biden has destroyed America and the world. The border is open. He stopped drilling. He stopped America energy first, energy independence. He made us dependent on our enemies again. We're buying oil from Venezuela, Iran. I hear we're still getting Russian oil. He's got us involved in 2 wars. We're heading to World War III. He abandoned Americans in Afghanistan, and 13 of our military men and women are dead because of it. He's did nothing right except destroy this country. He's overprinted our currency. Inflation's through the roof. America's savings accounts are at an all-time low. Americans' charge card balances are at an all-time high. Biden did nothing good. My wife just said, her friend said, I think of his name, Lloyd Austin. They're whining that they need more money for Ukraine, saying, well, if we don't do something here and get this money, we'll be drafting not only your boys but your girls. And no one wants to go in the woke military. No one wants to go fight for Biden, for Biden's vision of America, which is a complete totalitarian police state. Recruitment quotas are 50% of where they need to be. Make no mistake, if there's a war, the draft's coming back because that's the only way they're going to get people to go into battle. The economy's tanking. Life was better under Trump, period. There's no way around that. There's no hiding that. It's just a fact. And that's why Trump is smoking Biden in the polls now. He's up 7%. He's crushing it in all the swing states. He's slaughtering the Republican primary is just a waste of our time and effort, but it's fighting the deep state. They're trying to take Trump off the ballot. So my fear is now they've launched this attack on, that painting Trump as a dictator. This is their new move. Trump is, Mussolini, Stalin, or Hitler, pick one. And this populist movement of MAGA, we're like the followers of these genocidal dictators that killed hundreds of millions of, or Mao, hundreds of millions of people in the 20th century. It ain't going to work. And that, Christian nationals are the greatest threat to democracy. What are they smoking? And so I'm worried. And Tucker Carlson alluded to this. He said, clearly nothing's worked and all roads lead to assassination, that they're going to try to kill Trump. And and I want to play this clip. And matter of fact, I think I'll do it right now, of Rush Limbaugh, and then we'll talk about it because it plays into what I'm talking about right now.
I know they desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not. They can't separate you from Trump. And more importantly, they can't separate you from the ideas. They can't separate you from MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again, which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump.
God, I miss Rush. There will never be someone like Rush again. His wisdom and his insight, the way he read a political issue. You'd hear the pundits talk about a certain issue, and you'd agree with a couple of them. Oh, yeah, that's it. And then you'd listen to Rush, and it would be something 180 off, and you'd go, that's it. That's exactly it. But what Rush was saying, look, Trump is the leader of our movement, but love of God, love of country, love of our Constitution, our representative republic, our American history, our morality, those are timeless. Those aren't going away. And especially our love of our liberty and freedom, right? That our founders fought for and to win America's independence. And all the souls, the heroes that have died on foreign battlefields, at sea, through all the wars, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, Korea, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, all of them, for us to have this life we're living. That's what we're fighting for. We're going to continue that. And God forbid something happens to Trump, but we get Trump elected. After 4 years, there's gonna be another person. I listened to Bannon say to the left, they're whining about Trump. He said, "You haven't even seen us get our conservative mojo going yet. You are going to pine for the days when Trump was the leader of MAGA." Because we are going scorched earth on these evil bastards. But I got to play this Trump ad that just played. Listen to this. This is excellent.
Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats are trying to pose as the defenders of democracy, but in fact, they're the ones destroying our democracy. Crooked Joe and his henchmen have tried to shut down free speech with a massive government censorship operation to silence their critics. They're putting Douglas McKay in jail for sharing a joking meme about Hillary Clinton 7 years ago. Nobody ever heard of anything like that. They have 4 bogus criminal cases trying to put their leading political rival, me, in prison. Let's put him in prison. He's leading by a lot. There's no way we can beat him. Let's put him in prison. They're running police state operations to infiltrate the Catholic Church as if it were a communist country. They're persecuting Christians and pro-life activists. They're persecuting anybody they want to persecute. They've labeled ordinary Republicans and parents at school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. They're resettling millions of migrants into our communities, destroying our country like it's never been destroyed before. They're calling our citizens criminals. They rigged the last election. They rigged the Democrat primary, and they're trying to get their rivals thrown off the ballot everywhere they can. And they're constantly trying to delegitimize the Supreme Court of the United States and threatening conservative judges with violence. In short, nothing about Crooked Joe Biden and the anti-democratic party has anything to do with defending democracy. So if Crooked Joe wants to turn this election into a question of which candidate will defend our democracy and freedom, then I say, bring it on. Let's go, Joe, bring it on, because you are a corrupt person. You're the most corrupt president in our history. And by the way, the most incompetent president in our history. Because Americans don't like tyrants, we don't like fascists, we don't like communists, and we don't like Crooked Joe Biden. You just have to look at the polls. With your vote on Election Day 2024, America will be a free nation once again. We will be free and we will be great. Thank you.
Great ad. Incredible ad, actually. There was Trump, that is the photograph, by the way, of Trump's inauguration, and they have showed, a matter of fact, I think that CNN clip I showed had doctored that up because I could see there were pockets here, but that's the crowd, and it goes all the way back to the Washington Monument. But the left is really freaking out now that Trump, there was an article in the New York Times that we're worried Trump is going to win and he's going to use the power of his office for retribution. No, we're not. I guess you could call it retribution. We're bringing justice. We're going to hold all these criminals that have did illegal stuff, that have doctored evidence, that have wrongfully persecuted Americans and put them in prison. We're coming after all them people, and we're going to hold them accountable. We need to adjudicate January 6th. We need to show exactly what went on. And they can, like Bannon said, they didn't give us any witnesses, our side. We will do that because, we know we're right on this, and we will anyways. But we need to hold these people accountable, and they're freaking out. And Brett Baer, in the doing Murdoch's work, said, Donald Trump, promise now. Will you promise if you get elected that you will not use your office to deliver retribution? And Trump, it was going to be a got you question, but Trump's fast on his feet. He said, well, only day one. What do you mean? He goes, well, I'm going to shut down the border and I'm going to drill, baby, drill. But it's not. We're not going to do to the Democrats what they've done to us. We're going to hold them accountable for what they've done to us because it's all criminal activity. I just think we're in for a real ride. This is going to be one of the most craziest election cycles we can see. But I can tell you right now, The Jewish people, which has been like a lock block for Democrats. I don't understand it. I don't know why Jews vote for Democrats. But they do not like Biden. They do not like the way he's favoring Palestine over Israel. Dershowitz said, who's never voted Republican, I'm voting for Trump. That's big, guys. Life was so much better on every demographic in this country. Black Americans are seeing the way they're persecuting Trump with this illegal lawfare, this injustice that's being brought on Trump. And they see this stuff all the time in the inner city. They relate to that. Not to mention, life was better for Black America under Trump. They are breaking the black vote to Trump. So the demographics are not favoring the Democrats, and they know it. So I'm worried at what straws they're going to grasp to hang on to power. Certainly an assassination attempt would be one. That would create chaos. And there was an article I was going to share. I don't think I have it pulled up, but basically what it said is that what are we going to do if Trump wins? And, we're going to deal with all these riots again, And I can remember people, by the way, that wouldn't vote for Trump, seriously, because they go, well, if we vote for Trump and he gets elected in 2020, the people will burn down the country, the cities. I said, you can't have someone threaten you like that, scare you into voting a certain way. But I'll tell you what happens. Hey, look, they're no doubt going to create mayhem. But I'll tell you what Trump's going to do. He's going to put the military out there and he's going to quill that shit right in its tracks, guaranteed. And then the other thing, it could go the other way, because what if we legitimately feel like we were robbed again? It's going to be. Listen, we're living in historic times, my friends. It's going to be a real roller coaster ride over the next year. Back in 1776, Thomas Paine, a brilliant writer, by the way, wrote an inspirational series about the cause for liberty. They were pamphlets, okay? In the cause for liberty and fighting for America's independence. It was titled The Crisis. Many of you are probably familiar with this. George Washington ordered it read aloud to the Continental Army on December 23rd, 1776. And I will tell you, this was such a powerful, inspirational piece of writing that no matter how depressed the soldiers, they were just elevated. Their hearts glowed. They fought, engaged in the fight again. But I'm just going to read the first paragraph, okay? These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny like hell is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we attain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price on its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated. Beautiful words. Every time I read them, it just shakes my soul. Today we face a similar crisis, right? We all need to be engaged in this fight to save our God-given republic from these animals seeking to destroy it. Our cause is noble. We are on the right side of this. This is a righteous movement. So please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel, if you just stumbled upon it. Make sure you check the bell to get all notifications. Comment down below. I like reading your comments. Keep praying and keep prepping. It's a good idea to put up some food and water filtration and all that stuff, folks, because living in crazy times right now. May God continue to bless this nation. May the good Lord keep you and your family safe. Until next time, Sons of Liberty out. See you guys.